right, everyone. Welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I am just really, really excited today about this special episode we're going to have. This is an episode I've been trying to get on for, I'm going to say several months. And, this person is like on the other side of the planet and he's just very busy man, but we figured out how to get 30 minutes out of this. So I'd like to introduce you guys to Troy, who is just, a celebrity professional photographer over just several years. I'm going to say about 30 years. He's also inventing a new social platform, which I'm really interested to talk about. I want him to introduce you to you when we get into it. It's going to be all about AI, and the social platform is going to be amazing. So, Troy, thanks for joining the show, man.
Thank you, Josh. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So I guess what we'll start off with, so people who, a lot of my people on the show are CEOs and founders. Even people who are listening are CEOs and founders, or even want to build their own business. So I guess for people who don't know you, could you give us a little introduction about yourself, a little bit about your background, and why this era of AI? Why are you in this space now?
Exciting. Yeah. Okay. So my background, I started as a photographer when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And basically I wasn't really very scholastic. I wasn't really didn't care so much about the math and science and stuff like that, but just photography was just it. So I opened my first studio when I was 21. It's all I've ever really done, up until the point a few years ago where I started doing an app developer for photographers. And so I had, pretty long career within photography. And then I developed this app that went to #1 in the App Store and was kind of a sensation. And then I ended up getting 5 patents on photo animation. So I kind of basically, I claim to fame as I'm the inventor of image to video. And so now that AI has come up, this is where it's really everything's kind of coming together. And now we're launching a social platform to celebrate what's happening with AI and the AI creators as well.
Wow. That's amazing. And I'm just so curious because, I just know a lot of people now are now getting involved in technology and like AI and like, I don't know if you know this, obviously, ChatGPT is like a big thing. And it's funny, they're making this new program called Sora, which is like, this whole video generated AI, and I think someone made a review about it. One of my favorite tech YouTubers actually. And, he had a chance to like, just kind of go into a little bit about it. And he said everything about it was beautiful and perfect, except for one thing, which was the physical and the physics of how things move is like not the greatest. But it's funny how it looks almost absolutely perfect, however you try to make it. And AI is just fantastic. I don't know how to say it else.
It is. It's a miracle, really, like what's happening and so quickly. And right now, with those little variations that he's talking about, this is the worst it'll ever be. So, but it's really incredible. I feel like we're in such a great time right now. We're so lucky to be, especially as content creators. It's just amazing because we now have Hollywood at our fingertips for most everybody.
Right. What do you find? Why now? Why do you think AI is so important today, especially going into 2025? Why do you feel it's such an important tool to have in any business or just in like as a tool in general?
Well, the why is because it's just now happening.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
If it happened 10 years ago, we'd still be rolling. But right now, as far as timing wise, coming out of COVID and like all these, the past several years has been kind of wild, right? And all of a sudden this explosion of AI, and to see what's coming in the future, it's going to change humanity as we know it for sure in a really great way.
Yeah. I think what's so important, and for me, like what I use it for is for the tools that I use for my job in terms of being a podcaster or just working with people and, just generating things and using it to help me to make content is so powerful and so useful, because I feel like a lot of us especially find it so time consuming, as a content creator, just to make things, or even just photos, like just generating photos or like, the exact same thing, so.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit, so I had when Digitalverse came out, like I've always been up on technology. That's what I'm kind of known for within my field as well. I had the first billboard in Times Square that was shot with a digital camera.
Wow.
So that's like how far everything that comes out, first digital camera. I did a TED Talks on the future of photography. Like I've always loved technology and marrying the two. And then when we released the Plotograph app, and that was, like I said, #1 in the App Store. It was featured by Apple, actually, for the
Wow.
release of the iPhone 10. It was the main app featured for the iPhone 10. So now the AI has come, forward, and it's so fast progressing that it's just kind of like even hard to keep up with at times. So
Yeah.
one of the things that we're doing is we're not just producing a social platform, but we're actually having a section called Discover AI, where our users can learn about AI, the tools, the different brands, and the different things that are out there for them to create with.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so, what do you think, for new businesses or even people who are just starting or wanted to get started onto it? What do you think is a good, useful tool in terms of AI, what they should be using?
Oh my God. Well, first off, Chat GTP or Claude,
Yes. Yeah.
it's like just
Yeah.
starting there. It's like now it's a really great question because as small developers or business owners, whatever it might be, um, we now have the same tools as the big corporations, you know,
Mm,
and it's really significant. I'm using AI every day, asking questions. What do tell me about this, and
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
getting like data that for me as a smaller business person, I wouldn't be able to have that data years ago for sure.
Yeah. Do you find, is there for you? I know for me, when I'm generating photos, sometimes there's always a limit to something of how much can be created. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen this. There's a video online where someone was trying to create a happy bunny, and then just kept elevating it more and more and more to like basically it was just like the fabric of the universe was just the bunny rabbit being happy.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a limit to actually using AI?
I don't think so. I mean,
No.
physical, I guess, but then you start building in robots, and then that goes into the
Yeah.
physical. So, but yeah, I think it's what's going to happen, and what is happening is just incredible.
Yeah. And so just out of curiosity, what made you get into this app of like, this whole platform of like using AI into like what made you decide that was the way to go?
Well, okay, so a few years ago on our platform,
Mhm.
I had a social platform a few years ago for NFTs. And
Mm.
NFTs kind of like went away, unfortunately, but it was such a great thing, potentially a great thing for artists. So now that AI has come up, and we're like, oh my gosh, you know what? Let's release the social platform back and specifically for AI. And so like the momentum that we're getting right now is very similar to what I saw with Plotograph back in 2016 and 2017 when we went to number one in the App Store. We're getting a lot of attention and partnering up with a lot of the AI companies. We're going to build a lot of the APIs in to the social platform, so the users will, be educated, but also have access to the tools, the top tools in the industry.
Yeah. Is there any particular thing that, in terms of this, like what people should be looking like, what are they going to look forward to in terms of this platform?
Great question.
Yes.
Storytelling. So here's the thing. Here's what's really cool is
Yeah.
now creators, or not even people who consider themselves creators, but if you have a thought, if you're a poet, you have an idea for a story, you could literally prompt it. You could even speak into the AI, and literally it'll create a video for you, create the content. And right now, it seems to be a lot of people are creating images, and then they're taking the images and going to video, but that's going to keep getting even easier of a process. So for me, it's about storytelling. It's about having a platform that doesn't get banned all the time. So, if you're a content creator, you're like,
Yeah.
gosh, I got, marked again or whatever. Um,
You say the wrong words.
right, right. So Plotaverse will be 17 and plus. So it's not for children. And
Yes.
so we've really, protected the children, so it's not for kids, but now the artists get to create meaningful content without being censored, without having the thought of like, oh, I should do this. They can get to be a little bit more avant-garde with their content, which is will be fun.
Right. And so people can actually know what kind of content you create. It's not for kids they're all going to watch it. Because I know it's like people on like social media, especially like, you have X, which a lot of them are really good, but like some of the content can be very vulgar and very like strong and maybe not suited for kids. So I can kind of understand that.
But with our platform, and we already have a lot of ambassadors. We have over 10 million downloads already on the app. We have a
Wow.
really nice community. The and I'm really proud of that. The structure of the community isn't vulgar. It's more kind of like just creative, like true creatives. And a lot of our community are professionals as well. So we don't have that problem so much. I mean, occasionally things will happen, but what we're doing on the platform too is we're building in deep fake detection.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is all the other platforms are like, is this deep fake? You have, and right now we've got the drones that are happening in New Jersey and around,
Yeah.
UFO sightings. We will actually be able to detect with 97% accuracy whether that it's a real video or not. And we'll
Wow.
only accept on the main feed AI videos. So we're like, it's like opposite, instead of like
Yeah.
saying, we're like, no, this is a real video. You have other places to go,
Yeah.
Instagram, but TikTok's being shut down in the United States on January 19th.
Wow.
So
That's pretty wild.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they just lost another appeal, so it's likely to happen. I mean, they still have a chance as far as to go to the Supreme Court and buy some time, but we're launching our platform on the day they're being shut down.
So basically, don't promote on TikTok anymore.
I don't know. We just won't be able to use it really. I mean, it's gonna be pulled out of the
Yeah.
App Store. So, but
Wow.
what we're doing is we're talking with other developers and other apps, who share out to TikTok. Where it's like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
don't remove your share to TikTok feature. Replace it with Plotaverse.
So it's almost like a replacement for TikTok.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's yeah. I find it interesting too because there's a lot of people out there that wanna share their content on things, but they're like they really don't know how to, or what to do, and how to do it, and things like that. So I think it's so important that we know where there's a place we can go to where it's not going to get canceled or changed or taken down. And I think part of also I think what's interesting too, and I don't know if you've had this experience where everyone has to rely on the algorithm of how to put out the content, because sometimes it's like, how do you get known by 10 bajillion other competition type people? It's like, what do you actually do with that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's a good tool to have as an artist. Like, there's no blockage. It's really just an amazing tool to have.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that bothered me about Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all the other platforms,
Yeah.
everything that bothered me, I fixed in this one.
Yeah. Well, it's smart. That's very smart, because you made a place where it's safer, and
Yeah.
you got rid of a problem that was occurring for you. Maybe that might be occurring for others, but it's like it's very a powerful tool. And a lot of people sometimes they abuse it. Oops. Sometimes abuse it, but sometimes they're just like um, they just like they don't know what to do with it, because like Instagram, I found when I mean, gosh, I don't know if you remember when Instagram came out. It was like I wasn't really a Instagram type person, but you just saw the actual the tools that people were using. They were mostly using it for photography. Now they have reels, and now they have other stuff, and it's like really wild to me.
Right.
you know
Right. Exactly. There's been
yeah.
an amazing progression, and actually we're able to learn from that, which is great. But on Plotaverse, we don't have algorithms. So we have like
Mm,
the best content actually gets curated by our team, and we're not really interested in like a billion people. Like it's actually, I would say maybe not a replacement for TikTok. We want it to be very niche and specific for creators and for brands. We're marrying the creators with the brands, and then people just love cool content. So it's just going to be beautiful, cool, inspirational content that hopefully with storytelling and us teaching people how to do storytelling, it'll be meaningful as well.
yeah, and I guess what's interesting too is that some of these business owners don't know how to do it. They don't know how to and I think a lot of times people think it's a lot of it is time wasting, or it's very hard. It's very like long process. Like, could you give us, like, I guess for people who like don't know how to use it, and like, is it actually worth learning? Is it something that's actually worth learning to, especially in a storytelling aspect? Because I know they're like, oh, it's way too much time. I have to have someone else do it.
Well, so many people say I have an idea for a show or a movie or just this poem or this thought that I had. If you can think it, you can now create it. And when you combine forces with the AI, it just blows your mind as far as what's possible and what's it's able to produce. And there's different tools for different things too. This is where it's getting fun. So what we're
Yeah.
doing is we're learning all the tools. You've got Pika Labs, for example, that has really specific sort of cool, fun things for people to do, and they come up with certain styles.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then you've got Leonardo AI It's really amazing too. And you have all these really great tools. So what we're doing is we're learning all the different tools and seeing like, okay, what do you want to do? And we can kind of like help guide you to which tool will probably be best for you.
Yeah. So, and I guess what inspired you? Do you think that uh, to make you this whole AI generated platform? You know, I'm sure because with AI, it's probably going to learn from itself. Like, what made you decide to use AI rather than just like a something simple like with Instagram or Facebook? And like, why use that specifically?
Once again, it goes back to the DNA of me as a creator. And,
Mm.
first digital camera, basically I created image to video. And now this is a progression of the computer coming in
Oh
and,
yeah,
just kind of putting all that together. And it's just like, I have all these dreams that are just coming true right now. So I'm like, I need a platform that can
yeah.
actually show the beauty in what's happening and for people to be able to really express themselves.
Yeah. Did you find when you were working with Apple, where they're like, you know, because I know you mentioned that it was featured in the Apple, was it like, were there problems or like were there like, because I know Apple is very harsh with their, when they charge people for things or when they put their app, they get a cut of it. Like, was that hard to actually do in terms of getting the app online there?
Well, they actually invited me in. I initially built
Hmm.
a desktop app
Mm.
and they saw it. I mean, it was just at the time, it was like Instagram was blowing up. I was getting like 4,000 followers a week on average.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Apple saw and they called me in. The head of photo videos, like, what you've developed is going to change photography as we know it. I'm like, yeah, we know. Like, we're really proud of what we have. So they
Yeah.
invited us in to build the iOS version. And
Yeah.
initially, actually, I was supposed to speak at WWDC. I was going to be one of the keynote speakers and
Wow.
launch it there. Yeah. Um, and then so we launched in the App Store, went immediately to number one in the App Store, and then we just kind of kept going back and forth with them, and they ended up actually doing a giveaway with Plotograph as the official app for like the iPhone 10. So it was like new iPhone 10's out, but check out this cool new app. So it's kind of coincided with all that. Through the years, I built my career on Apple products and Canon. So as a photographer, I was like Canon guy,
Yeah.
Apple. But really, from what I've learned from Apple is they can't be trusted. Unfortunately, I hate to say that. It's a bummer because it's like this company that you're like, wow, Apple's calling me. This is like dream come true, and all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is who they are. And
Wow.
as a creator, through the 90s, we are the ones who kept Apple alive. You know,
Yeah.
we were really like die hard as far as like Apple, no PC. And, they struggled for a bit. And I feel like they've really kind of turned their backs on the creatives. And I saw that firsthand through my dealings with them.
Yeah. I know you mentioned previously before we got on this call, you had a little encounter with Apple and like this whole battle between the photography and like how it kind of rolls. And I guess, how did that shape for you? Like, how did that shape in terms of what you are today and how that helped you drive the force of your new app?
Okay. So it's really, obviously it's made me stronger. What doesn't kill
Yeah.
you makes you stronger. Right.
That's right. That's right.
and And so, but yeah, so now it's like from what I've learned, I've kind of stayed out of Silicon Valley. Like I've kind of like right now we're funded through sales, friends and family a
Yeah.
little bit, and then funded mostly through sales throughout the
Yeah.
years. So we've been very lucky. But what I know now is I'm very confident with what we're launching in right now, and I'm hoping, hopefully they do the right thing. Um, we they gave away, check this out, they gave away
Yeah.
almost $6 million of our app for free to support their iPhone 10 with a
Wow.
promise that we're going to feature you, Troy. This is amazing. Never featured us. Gave away $6 million of a small new company who just had this invention, and basically I don't know why, they kind of hit us on the App Store afterwards. Magically, our competition launched an exact app few months later, and they've done over $200 million in the App Store while we're hidden.
Wow.
I don't know, like
That's
what
crazy.
crazy. It's very
Yeah.
disappointing, and so
It's like
especially.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Like you kind of don't have control over it. You have an ability to create something, but like the actual part of it is like just putting it there and trying to get it big. It's like almost feels impossible because they kind of made it so hard for you to actually, because they'll either take away or they'll make something of their own where it's like now it's you can't really change that.
A lot of the big companies are doing that. Amazon's guilty of that as well. And you know, we hear about these things, but until it happens to you, you're like, wow, this is really serious. And then what comes down to is another topic, but why isn't our government protecting us from this? And it turns out it seems like everybody's kind of in cahoots. And there's an interesting point I make of this though, that, okay, so now Google just released their technology to be able to, you know, their computer now is like unbelievable what it can do.
Gemini,
And
right?
yeah. So now
Gemini,
I think
yes.
that we know that it does take these big corporations in a lot of money to put this technology together, but at the expense of the inventors, at the expense of the
Right.
artists. A lot of times, another example is you've got Zuckerberg with Instagram. Of all the platforms, Instagram's so big, they only pay 10% of all the money paid to artists.
Wow.
How is he the third richest guy in the world? And he pays only 10% to the creators off the backs of the creators creating. So this is what we're changing is we're going to take a percentage of our sales of the money that comes in and the advertising and the sales, and we're feeding it straight back out to the artists. So we're
Yeah.
supporting the artist community. For me, it's like feel like the luckiest guy in the world. Right now I'm in Thailand. You know, I'm a digital nomad for a couple of years. So I'm just, you know, it's made me sharper, all of this happening. And I'm realizing like right now I basically can roll with a backpack and, you know, 2 backpacks and a suitcase anywhere in the
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
there's something really freeing about that.
Yeah. Well, it's cool too. Like I think during the 2020 era where like we're all freeing ourselves from the digital aspect of it. You know, I got actually from a brief period, I had a digital minimalism kind of like era of like no technology, everything's away, you know, and I was watching a lot of videos because of that. And it was funny as, you know, I think with Apple, you're so sucked into a lot of the stuff and especially like social media and apps and you got to have this, you got to download this, you got to be honest as much as possible. And so I actually decided because I was like, I switched to a Google phone. I actually have a Google Pixel 7 and it's like the Gemini is like phenomenal. Like you look at Apple's AI, which is, you know, I was surprised they sold their Apple product with the promotion of, oh, here's Apple AI, but there was no Apple AI on it until like months and months later. And now it's kind of like, it doesn't compare how great Google AI, which is the Gemini. And it's like, it's really wild how like just creative they are and just how like the, you know, the tools that you can use. Like I use this Gemini for like everyday things, like just remind me for this and, you know, make a list and, you know, script this for me. And I did this, I was trying to experiment the other day with, I have a dog who, you know, she's a Shih Tzu, a Shih Tzu poodle mix. And I just like, I'm trying to make a little TikTok for her. That's funny that you mentioned TikTok. I was going to make a TikTok account for her to kind of grow for her and just see what would happen. I made a generative AI picture of her, like just make this super cute green eyes. And it was really, really good with the pictures. I was really shocked how good they made it.
It's amazing. It's beautiful, really.
Yeah. Do you think your app will inspire new artists?
That's literally part of our whole plan is to
Yeah.
not only inspire them, you too can create, but we're going to actually have the education part of it on our Discover AI section too, to teach them how to do it. Yeah. And then we're already partnering up with different contests, AI contests. There's a website called Curious Refuge, and they do a really great job too, as far as like educating people how to use AI tools and for storytelling. So
That's great. It's such a, I find it such a cool because artists like, you know, I remember someone once said like, you know, artists are like the communicators of the world. Like they're the people that communicate the most and they actually, you know, they bring life to things, you know, when you don't realize it. And it's such a powerful thing, especially that platform, which sounds amazing of like just making things and now you're providing an educational tool to actually help people do that, which I think people will appreciate.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think in the next 10 years? What do you think will happen with this platform in terms of, you know, generative AI, but also like your platform of making artists who do this? What do you think will happen?
Okay. So what I see coming down the line is, of course,
Yeah.
we're starting off with smaller videos, reels, stories, these sort of things. And then as the technology gets better and as the artists get better, it's going to be Plotaverse specifically. We're setting it up also so you'll have a feed that's vertical, but you can also have a feed that's horizontal. So
Hmm.
you can view it whether it's like you would say YouTube or Instagram. And so we see Plotaverse as being a place for storytellers, and it'll be basically, um, I don't know, like you would say indie films, something like that. But what's different is with indie films in the past, they're based on their budgets, and you could probably tell as an indie film. But now there will not be a difference between Hollywood and indie films slash AI films. And that's what we're really excited about, is to help inspire storytellers so they're not just stuck to the narrative of as far as what's happening coming out of Hollywood. It's like everyday people get to create whatever it is that they're thinking.
Yeah, it's really cool. Just like the idea of like you're the artist and you're creating your own thing. What do you think? For those people out there, a lot of us are like artists or singers or writers or maybe they're graphic designers, and a lot of us, we've always had this failed idea like, oh, we'll never make it. I'm sure you probably had it. Where as a photographer, you're like, gosh, I'm probably never going to make it. I'm not good enough. Like, what do you think in terms of this next generation? Now we're in the AI generation of making these things and making, art in a sense, right? What do you think for those people? What do you think? How do you think this will help them?
Okay. So not only that, not only the creating the art, but now monetizing. We got a little bit of a taste of it with NFTs a few years ago. And
Yeah,
that there was some flaws with that for sure. But from what we're
yeah,
seeing, what we're building into our platform as well is a way for artists to monetize.
yeah,
So as an artist, let's say you have a 20-year-old artist, right?
yeah,
And so what happens is like you start creating, you start getting fans, you start people who really like your content. Now you'll be able to actually be awarded both by the platform and by your fans to get paid. And then as the artist, like say, creates a piece that's really iconic, they could start selling that piece, even though it's digital, right? We're setting it up to where they can buy it in USD, whatever currency there is too, right? So
yeah,
that's really the future of what's happening. So an artist can actually go their whole life, 20 years old to 100 years old, whatever it might be.
yeah,
And as they go, they just literally keep creating, keep making money. And so it's showing the value of artists in our society. And whenever you value artists in a society, that's when the society really thrives. And so AI in conjunction with thoughts and ideas and creativity is really going to bring things in a way that we can't even imagine. Really, it's exciting.
yeah. Yeah, it's so exciting too. And I think a lot of people, business owners, artists, like in a way, entrepreneurs are artists. It's a different form of creating something, and I find there are a lot of people out there that want to create, or maybe they stop creating because they're not familiar with the new tools that are out. So it's like, I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that there's an educational step in that. Like, what does that actually look like for people? Like if, let's say, for example, people aren't, familiar with AI, like maybe they're older, or maybe they're not into computers, or they're not into gadgets like you and I are. But like, what do you say to those people? Like, how can they get like, what does the educational thing look like on your platform?
Okay, so we're going to build in
Speechless.
it's called conversational AI. So I want to make sure I keep it simple too. But
Yeah.
conversational AI. So basically, I'm going to have an avatar on the app, and you could come in and ask me. I'll literally have a live chat with you connected to AI that will also be built in to teach you how to use the apps. So you could
Wow.
literally just have a conversation. So what should I do here, Troy? What is the, and I will literally could answer and walk you through how to create that. And what's really important is to think about what's the why. So I also have a show that's called The Why of AI. And what's your why of wanting to do this? And getting even further into the psychology of it, and to really kind of help people kind of like, there's a lot of things happening in the world. People really want to express themselves, and they feel trapped sometimes. So this is a way for them to expand and to kind of get out. And it's up to us as far as the platforms to educate them as well. So
Yeah.
either whether it's us, Curious Refuge, all these other places, it's like, wherever they feel best to learn, is one of the things that we're going to focus on as well.
Yeah. So I guess because I know we're getting close here. So for people who want to get involved in terms of AI and your whole platform, what do you say to people, who are a little like, what are some tools or some things that you can give them that is like, what are the steps they should take in order to learn this process? Like, what should they do? Because I think we have people who are listening here who are artists, they're guitar players, they're piano players, they're singers, they're, the graphic designers, they're a lot of different things. And like, what is their first steps from your viewpoint as an artist and to give to other artists? What do you find is the correct way we should go about in delivering AI and educating them?
Well, what we're doing is through both articles and videos, both.
Mm.
And so on our platform, literally Discover AI section, it's going to walk you through whether you're brand new and it's your first time looking or you're really a pro, we're going to have it all covered from the beginning all the way to like creating movies. Actually, we're going to have that educational part of it. And that's one thing that I'm leading and really excited about. And then building in the conversational AI where once again, you could watch the videos, you could read the article, or you could just talk like, hey, so what are your thoughts? What's new happening? So here's an example. Like, let's say somebody does an YouTube video and they produce it all week. They're editing. It takes a while. They could put out one a week. 1 week, 2 weeks later, it's completely obsolete to where you come on to Plotaverse, have a conversation. If a new feature or tool came out an hour ago, you could know about it instantly, like right then. So it's live. So the AI is helping the AI and it's helping people once again communicate and create art and do things that are meaningful.
Wow, that's amazing. And I guess for people, obviously you've helped so many people. I have a feeling you've helped a lot of people with this app and a lot of, the tools that you've given with AI. I would love to hear a story from you about someone you've helped that was just anything that comes to mind that was just like, the story was, wow, so amazing. I really just helped this person. And it was like, it was amazing. I would love to hear a story like that.
Okay. Actually, there's a couple stories and it's a couple artists out of Ukraine. And
really?
So we'll be like going back and forth. We're like, oh, your work's we're going to feature you. You're going to be artist of the day and, get really excited. And they'll be talking about like, let's do this soon because we're worried. We're like sheltering right now and we don't know if our electricity is going to stay on.
Wow.
And so these artists are creating under these circumstances. But what they're creating is it's their way of getting out. It's their way of like, trying to avoid what the heck's happening right outside of their door. And it's happened a few times actually. So it really shows us. So what we do as a community, we say, hey, by the way, this is what's happening and check out, this is Artist of the Day. And the community just rolls in from everywhere. Russia, Ukraine, like literally all over the world, just like, listen, artists, we've got to stick together and know that it takes us to really kind of like bring humanity to the next level outside of all these things that our governments are doing as well. Honestly,
wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Troy, I really appreciate the time you kind of given me, even though you're halfway across the planet. It's probably like almost 1 a.m. over there. It's like really, really amazing. It's like, and I really appreciate the time you got and given me asking these really important questions because, we're living in the day and age we're now in I would say in the future of people especially people who live in the past. They're like a lot of us are stuck in the 80s. It's like, but now we're like really into the future of like AI is sort of taking over how we work and doing it easier, better than ever. And, I really appreciate the time and really just answering a lot of questions about AI and especially your new platform, which I'm sure a lot of people who are listening will be really excited to join and really know more about. And those tools are going to be very powerful for people.
Absolutely.
All right, good. And lastly, Troy, so I want people to reach out to you, kind of get more, more in touch with you. And I want people to reach out to you because I think it's so important that people know who you are. And I think you provide a really good tool for people. How can people find you and reach out to you and just get to talk to you or your team?
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. So Plotaverse.com. It's as simple as that, the website, but also on the App Store is at Plotaverse. So you just download the Plotaverse app and that's where you find us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. And I really appreciate the time you've given us. And I thank everyone here for coming to this show and liking this. And of course, listening or watching, which if you're watching the video version. And if you guys like this, please like and subscribe if you want to take command of your brand. And Troy, thanks for joining the show, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.